You love your baby. That is never the question. You would do anything for them. You already are doing anything for them. The feeds at 3 a.m., the songs you've sung so many times the words have stopped sounding like words, the way you've learned to function on 4 hours of sleep like it's something close to normal. The love is not in question. But love and communication are two different things, and there is a gap in the first years of a child's life between how much a parent loves their baby and how accurately that love is being received. That gap is what this video is about, because your baby is not experiencing your love the way you feel it on the inside. They are experiencing it through something far more specific, through thousands of tiny daily interactions, each one sending a signal to a developing brain that is still deciding something enormous. Am I safe here? Does this person see me? Do I matter? Most of the time, parents are sending exactly the right signals without knowing it, and some of the time, they're sending the wrong ones, also without knowing it. 10 everyday moments that most parents don't think twice about. 10 moments their baby is reading very differently than intended. If this is already making you see your baby differently, hit the like button and subscribe, it really helps. And drop a comment telling me how old your little one is right now. I love knowing who I'm talking to. Your baby's brain, in the first 12 months of life, is building what developmental psychologists call an internal working model. Think of it as a neural blueprint for what relationships feel like, what to expect from people, whether the world responds when they signal, whether their needs will be met or ignored. This blueprint is not built from intention, it's built from pattern, from what actually happens, repeatedly, in the ordinary moments that feel too small to matter. John Bowlby, whose attachment theory remains one of the most thoroughly validated frameworks in developmental psychology, established that secure attachment isn't formed through grand gestures. It's formed through the consistent experience of reaching out and being met. Signal, response, thousands of times across the first months and years of life. When the response matches what the baby needed, the blueprint records, "I am seen." When it doesn't, the blueprint records something else, something quieter but cumulative. This is why the 10 things in this video matter. None of them are dramatic, none of them require a bad parent to do them. They're the ordinary texture of a busy day with a baby. And they're the exact moments the developing brain is paying the closest attention. The first one happens on the floor. Your baby is playing, or doing what passes for playing at 4 months, which mostly looks like staring at their own hands with the focused intensity of someone encountering a philosophical problem. You're nearby, you're present, but your phone is in your hand and you've drifted. Not far, just enough. Your baby looks up. They do this constantly in the first year. A behavior researchers call social referencing. They look up at you to check, to read your face for information about whether what they're experiencing is safe, interesting, something to lean into or pull back from. When they look up and find your face engaged and warm, a specific neurological sequence occurs. Their brain registers connection. Their nervous system settles. When they look up and find you absent, physically present, but elsewhere, the signal is different. The research on this comes from Edward Tronick's still face experiments at Harvard, where mothers were asked to hold a blank, unresponsive expression for just 2 minutes while interacting with their infants. The babies tried everything to re-engage them, smiling, vocalizing, reaching. When nothing worked, they turned away, curled inward, showed visible physiological signs of distress. 2 minutes, that's all it took. Your phone is not the same as the still face experiment. No one is saying that. A glance at a message while your baby plays is not going to damage them. But the pattern, when it repeats across hundreds of daily interactions, is what the brain is recording, not your love, the frequency of your actual gaze meeting theirs. The second mistake is one that comes from the right place entirely. Your baby is fussing and you move quickly to fix it. The pacifier, the feed, the pickup, whatever resolves the sound fastest. You're responsive, you're attentive. What's the problem? The problem is speed, and it's subtle. When you move to resolve the signal before you've taken a beat to read it, you're skipping the part your baby most needed, the reading. The moment where your face shows them, "I heard you, I'm looking at you, I'm trying to understand what you need." That moment, that specific beat of being seen and considered, is itself a regulatory experience for your baby's nervous system. It tells them something that the pacifier alone can't, that they are legible to you, that their signals land, that when they communicate, someone takes it in. Babies who experience that quality of being read over time build something researchers call felt security, an internal sense that they are understandable, that their inner world makes sense to another person. That sense becomes the foundation for emotional regulation later, for a child's ability to handle frustration, to self-soothe, to trust that distress is temporary because someone will come. You can't rush your way to it, you have to pause inside it. The third is about your voice, and it's one of the most common misreadings in early parenting. When your baby is crying and you're trying to soothe them, the instinct is to match their urgency, to speak faster, louder, with more animation, as if you can out-signal the distress. It feels like responsiveness. To your baby's nervous system, it reads as escalation. Your baby doesn't yet have the neurological capacity to regulate their own emotional state. That capacity develops across years through a process called co-regulation, where the parent's calm, organized nervous system essentially lends itself to the baby's dysregulated one. Your baby is not just hearing your words, they are physiologically borrowing your state, your heart rate, your breathing rhythm, the pace and pitch of your voice. All of it is transmitting directly to their developing nervous system. When you speed up, they read urgency. When you slow down, genuinely, not performatively, their system begins to follow yours. The voice that soothes a dysregulated baby in the first months of life is slower than feels natural, steadier than the moment calls for. It asks something of the parent that the moment makes very hard, to be calm before the baby is calm, because that's the only order in which it works. The fourth happens at bedtime or during naps, or any moment you put your baby down and leave the room before they've fully settled. It's the transition, the moment your warmth leaves their body and the environment shifts from you to the crib. Most parents manage this moment efficiently because the goal is sleep, and the faster the exit, the better the odds. The baby reads the speed differently. Your baby's nervous system in the first 6 months of life has no capacity to hold you in mind when you're gone. Object permanence, the understanding that people and things continue to exist outside of direct sensory contact, develops across the first year, consolidating somewhere around 8 to 10 months. Before that, when you leave the room, you don't go somewhere else, you disappear. The nervous system registers absence the same way it registers threat, not dramatically, but measurably. Cortisol rises, the alert system activates, and the cry that follows isn't manipulation. It's a body doing exactly what it was built to do when its only source of regulation vanishes without warning. The transition itself can be bridged. Your voice continuing after your warmth leaves, narrating the moment, staying calm, letting them hear you as you move away, extends the sensory contact past the point of physical separation. You're not eliminating the transition. You're giving their nervous system something to hold onto across it. The fifth mistake is one that well-meaning people around you may be actively encouraging. Letting your baby cry it out before 4 months, before the brain has any architecture for self-soothing, before object permanence has even begun to form, deposits something specific into that internal working model, not damage. Attachment is more resilient than that. But a pattern, I signaled, nothing came, that the brain is recording alongside everything else. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I upload new videos every week, and I'd hate for you to miss one. Your support is what makes this channel possible, and it genuinely means the world to me. The sixth is about eye contact, and it's one that surprises parents when they hear it. When you're feeding your baby, bottle or breast, and you're looking at your phone or the television or the ceiling, you're missing one of the most neurologically significant exchanges available to you in the entire day. Feeding is a state of maximum openness for your baby's brain. They are calm, their cortisol is low, their nervous system is at its most receptive, and they are looking at your face. The face-to-face exchange during feeding is where a significant portion of early emotional attunement gets built. Your baby is learning to read you, the micro-expressions, the warmth in your eyes, the way your face responds to theirs. That learning happens through repetition, across hundreds of feeds in the first months of life. A screen in that window doesn't ruin anything, but your face in that window builds something a screen cannot. The seventh is about the words you use when your baby is upset, and specifically, the ones that short-circuit the moment before it can do its work. You're okay. Parents say it constantly, reflexively, with genuine love. The baby is crying and the parent wants to reassure them, and you're okay is the fastest path to that. The difficulty is that from your baby's perspective, in that moment, they are not okay. Something in their body or their experience feels wrong enough to signal about. When the response to that signal is a cheerful contradiction, the baby doesn't feel reassured. They feel unread. The alternative isn't complicated. It's staying in the feeling for one beat before moving past it. I hear you. Something doesn't feel right. Not a lecture. A single moment of acknowledgement. I got your signal. I'm taking it seriously. Before you move to comfort. That beat across thousands of early interactions is what teaches a child that their inner experience is real and legible and worth communicating. That one day, years from now, becomes a teenager who still talks to you. The eighth mistake is quieter than the others. It happens when your baby is exploring, crawling towards something new, pulling up on the furniture, reaching for an object just outside their range, and you move in before they've had the chance to struggle. You hand them the toy. You steady them before they've wobbled. You solve the problem at the exact moment their brain was preparing to solve it itself. Every parent does this. It comes from love and from a nervous system that is wired to protect. Watching your baby strain and frustrate is genuinely uncomfortable. But what gets interrupted in that moment is not just a physical task. It's the earliest version of something that developmental psychologists call self-efficacy, the experience of trying, persisting, and succeeding. The moment where a baby's brain records, "My effort changed something." That registration, across hundreds of small challenges in the first 2 years of life, is where confidence comes from, not the praise that follows success, the experience of the effort itself. The research on this is specific. A study from the University of Missouri found that toddlers whose caregivers intervened quickly during challenging tasks showed lower persistence scores and more frustration when faced with novel problems. The babies who were given slightly more time to work through difficulty before help arrived showed higher tolerance for challenge and more sustained attention. The gap in time that made the difference was not large, seconds, often. But those seconds were where the brain was doing something irreplaceable. You don't have to stop helping. You have to slow down the help. Stay close. Let them feel you nearby. But wait for the signal, the look-up, the vocalization that says, "I've reached the edge of what I can do," before you come in. Let the struggle be the lesson before you become the solution. The ninth is one parents almost never identify as a mistake because it looks like good parenting from the outside. It's the overscheduled day, the baby gym class, the sensory play session, the music group, the intentional tummy time, the flashcard moment, all threaded together into a day so full of stimulation that there's no room left for nothing. And nothing, for a baby's brain, is not nothing. Unstructured time. Moments where your baby is simply present without being directed, stimulated, or engaged toward a developmental goal, is when a specific and essential type of neural processing happens. The brain consolidates what it's learned. It practices internal state awareness. It begins, in the most rudimentary way, to experience its own mind. Researchers studying early childhood cognition have found that babies left to quiet, self-directed play show higher creativity and longer attention spans than those whose days are filled entirely with adult-led activity. Your baby does not need more enrichment. They need more space. 20 minutes of you nearby and genuinely uninterested in directing them, not teaching, not narrating, not optimizing, is more valuable to their developing brain than the third structured activity of the morning. Let them be bored. Let them figure out what they're interested in when nobody is deciding for them. The 10th is the one that lands hardest, and it's the one that almost every parent reading this will recognize in themselves. It's the moment you're physically present with your baby but emotionally somewhere else. Not on your phone, not distracted by something external, just carrying the weight of everything else. The work email you haven't answered, the conversation that didn't go right, the low-grade hum of worry that follows most parents through their days like weather. Your baby feels this, not abstractly, not metaphorically, physiologically. Research from Bar Island University measuring parent-infant physiological synchrony found that when a parent's stress levels were elevated during caregiving interactions, the baby's cortisol levels rose in tandem even when the parent was doing everything behaviorally correct. Holding them, speaking to them, meeting their gaze. The nervous system your baby is borrowing for co-regulation is the one you're actually in, not the one you're performing. You cannot fake regulate it to an infant. They are reading something beneath behavior. This is not an instruction to resolve your anxiety before you parent. That is not a realistic ask, and it's not what the research suggests. The finding is not that stressed parents harm their babies. It's that the single most useful thing you can do in a hard moment, before you pick your baby up, is take 30 seconds for yourself. Breathe out longer than you breathe in. Let your own nervous system shift, even slightly, towards settled. Because the version of you that picks them up after that 30 seconds is genuinely different to their nervous system than the version that picked them up before it. You are not a tool your baby uses. You are a person whose own regulation is part of the equation. Taking care of yourself in these moments is not separate from taking care of them. It is the same thing. Now go back to the beginning of this list. 10 moments. None of them require a bad parent. None of them come from not loving your baby enough. They come from loving your baby completely and not having been told what that love looks like from the inside of a developing brain. Your baby is not keeping score. They are not cataloging your failures. They are building a blueprint, moment by moment, of what it feels like to be in relationship with you. And every ordinary exchange, the gaze you hold a beat longer than you needed to, the pause before you speak, the 30 seconds you take to settle yourself before you settle them, is adding to that blueprint something that no enrichment class, no developmental toy, no parenting book can add. The most powerful thing you can do for your baby's brain is not complicated. Be there. Be present inside the presence. Let them find you when they look up. That is what they are asking for in every behavior on this list. That is what they have always been asking for. You already know how to give it to them. You're giving it right now. Thank you so much for being here until the very end. It means everything. If this video changed how you see your baby even a little, please share it with another parent who needs to hear it. Check out the videos on your screen now. I think you'll love them. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.